Okay, hi. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a coil pot. So basically you're going to be making a vessel or a pot, something that holds something made of coils. So it will look similar to this. You can see there's all kinds of different coils in there and even some flowers and different things. Our first step is you have to make sure you have wedged your clay, and if you remember, wedging is removing all the air bubbles from your clay so it doesn't explode. So the next step is I'm going to take a hunk of clay and I'm going to roll it out to create the bottom of my coil pot. So I'm going to take a rolling pin and I'm going to roll it out. You want it to be about between 1/4 and 1/2 inch thick. So I have a nice slab here. The next thing I'm going to do is find something round to trace if I want my coil pot to be round. Now you don't have to have a round coil pot. It could be squared, it could be organic shaped, whatever you want. I'm going to start with this little tin and I'm going to trace it and I'm going to cut it at a beveled angle. Now a beveled edge is at an angle like this. The reason I cut at a beveled edge is for aesthetic purposes, and aesthetic is something that makes it look good. When your pot has a beveled edge on the bottom, it has more aesthetic appeal because it seems lighter. One of those tricks of the eye. So I have the bottom of my coil pot. I'm going to take my extra clay here and I'm going to wedge it up so that I can use it in a minute to make some coils. I'm going to take my Lazy Susan here and I'm going to use it to be able to spin my coils on, which is really, really nice. So I'm going to start. I have my bottom or my base. I'm going to put it on my Lazy Susan. Now something that's really nice to put on first is a piece of newspaper or a piece of paper. Let me grab one. That helps our pot not stick. We'll need some newspaper later, so it's kind of a good thing to have. So I'm going to take a piece of newspaper, put it on top of my Lazy Susan, take my base, and that's where I'm going to start right now. So next, what I want to do is kind of get stuff out of the way, and I'm going to roll some coils. So to start rolling a coil, you take your hunk of clay, and you squeeze it into the shape of a hot dog or a snake, or get the coil started. Next, I'm going to roll it. Now you want to make sure you roll it all the way through from the palms to the tips of your fingers. And you're going to start in the middle and roll out. And you want to try to get it nice and even. So something like this. You can see it's a nice even level. And what you have to do to attach anything is you have to slip and score. So I have some slip here. I like to use a paintbrush. And I'm going to score this whole coil. Now this is just a regular coil I'm going to start with. I'm going to score the edge of my base. And you just have to do this anytime you're attaching anything. Okay? I'm going to put slip. I'm going to slip my whole coil. And I'm going to attach it to my pot. Now I can take that and I'm just going to do a regular coil. Now if you want it to go out, you'll put it towards the outside. If you want it to go in, you'll put it towards the inside. I want to be able, in this coil pot, I want to be able to see my coils. So I'm going to make sure it's nice and attached here. But then I can take my finger on the inside and smooth it together some so that it gets a little better attachment. Next, what I'm going to show you is how to create some different types of coils. So they're not just straight. Okay, so I'm going to take my hunk of clay And I'm going to, again, squeeze it to create the start of a coil, like a hot dog shape. I'm going to roll from the center and out. Now, some problems you might find in rolling coils is that if they're getting flat, you're probably pushing too hard and not rolling the coil completely through. If they're getting hollow, again, you're probably pushing too hard, or your clay's getting too dry. That can happen too. So I'm going to take this, and the first type of coil I'm going to show you how to make is a spiral. So I'm going to take it. There's a couple different ways to do this. One is I'm going to score it off, slip it off, and I'm going to roll it up on itself. And if it starts getting a little cracky or dry, you can just add some slip. And you don't have to do a coil this big, but that's a nice spiral. I can take it and attach it to my pot. And you have to slip and score everything you do. So I could take that, so then I have a spiral. Another way to do a spiral is to make the inside of the spiral hollow, which you can take. Your roll coil a little thinner. And I can just take a little piece of newspaper, roll it up and put it on the inside of my coil. I'm going to again slip and score everything. And I'm going to take that newspaper and I'm going to roll it up inside my coil. Now what happens is that newspaper keeps a circle in the middle of my spiral, but then it'll burn away in the kiln because it's paper. I want to make sure I slip and score everything, and then I can attach it on. Making sure I slip and score everything and everything's smoothed out real good. So when I put it in the kiln, the paper burns out, then I have a circle in there, so I could use it, obviously not for liquid, but maybe a candle holder or something like that. Okay, let me show you another type of coil. And this is going to be a wave. So I'm going to take my pot. I'm going to start by slipping and scoring it. And I'm going to take and I'm going to make a little ball of clay. Remember, nothing can be thicker than your thumb. I'm going to attach it here. Attach it here. And I'm going to attach it here. And I'm going to take my coil, making sure it's slipped and scored. And I'm going to make a wave. So I'm going to take, make sure it's attached there. And I can wave it like that. I can also make another type of wave where I take and fold the clay up on itself like that. That's another type of wave as well. So there's tons of ways to create coils. You can actually make braids and twists as well. I'm going to show you a quick twist. So you would take your clay, make sure again you're rolling it all the way through. Okay, so I'm going to take my clay, slip all of it really good. For when it's starting to get a little dry, and twist sometimes make the clay crack. So I'm going to take it and I'm going to twist it. Literally like you're making like a pretzel twist. If it starts to crack, add some slip. And you have to slowly do it so that it can collect on itself. From there, I have a nice twist. I can add it in my coil pot. Now you don't have to combine coils like this. You could go row by row if you like to go row by row. Sometimes I just go for it. And you can see I got a lot of twist left. I'm going to take it and put it over top of my other spiral. And make sure, you see on the back side, I'm making sure it's attached really well. Okay? So you're going to need to build your whole coil pot up. It has to be at least 7 inches high. And it has to have a foot, which is the beginning, a body, and a lip, which you can see on this coil pot. It has a foot, a body, and a lip. So it has a nice finished edge when you're all done. So within your whole pot, you can do that. There's one more thing I'd like to show you, and that's called a push mold or a sprig. We have these that have flowers. I also have one that have faces in them. So you'll take some clay, and you can add these into your coil pots. You'll take a ball, and you're going to push it into your mold. And it pops out, and you get a perfect little flower. Now you could use it that way. You could cut around your flower. Also have leaves. And you could attach this to the outside of your pot, or you could integrate it into your coils. So if I want to take it, maybe slip and score it and attach it on the inside of my spiral, I can do that. Now you don't have to use sprig molds, but they're a really nice addition to create some cool variation within your coils. So you need to have a pot that's at least 7 inches high. It has to integrate at least 3 different coil techniques. So regular coils, spirals, twists or braids, waves, or any other one that you could create. So that is your project. You need to make a sketch before you start. All right, thanks.